Yo, yo, yo. Welcome to the NS9 Emergency Podcast. I'm your host, Anthony DiNardo. With me, we got Neil. We got Dougie Fresh. We have a Pittsburgh Pirates Major League signing today, fellows. Aroldis Chapman is a Pittsburgh Pirate.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm still stunned. And not because he's such a great player or it's such a great signing. It just doesn't fit the Pittsburgh Pirates at all. It just doesn't. It's not like anything we've seen in what, the past decade, 2 decades. $10.5 million for
3 decades.
Yeah. My lifetime.
Biggest name since Russell Martin, isn't it?
That's also fair.
Yeah, I don't think there's been a bigger, more established free agent signing since Russell Martin and AJ.
There was a fella named Andrew McCutchen that was recently signed, but
yeah.
Well, yeah. Fair point,
that's
Doug.
a little different.
That's a little bit.
I couldn't pass it up.
Not a free agent that's not coming back home. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. Most we've spent on a pitcher since Savon Nova. I think. Yeah, I think that's the most. $10.5 million.
It's got to be.
And
It
it's
has
a
to be.
bullpen arm. I mean, that's more than we've paid for just about any. Like I said, any starter in this in the Ben. Just the Ben Cherington era. It just seems really out of character. And on top of that, he had a good year last year. Right? I mean, he's not. If he hasn't pitched well for 3 years, but maybe. Oscar Marin can teach him a sinker and it'll all be I mean, he actually produced. He produced on a World Series champion team. He's only 35, which I don't know. I thought he was and he came over from Cuba, so he might be 45. But he's been around forever. I wasn't sure. I was surprised that he was listed at 35 years old, but he over 100 strikeouts last year. He looked good.
Mm-hmm. He was really good last year. I thought it was a fake tweet. Like the first person who dropped this, I thought it was a fake tweet.
So listen, I did the same thing. I mean, a little peek behind the curtain. I was playing PlayStation and I was on with Cody, and we were just shooting the shit, right? Just talking. And I was playing Call of Duty. My match ended. I go to my phone. It was literally 25 seconds before I picked up my phone. And I saw the tweet about Chapman and the Pirates. And I said, no, like you said, this has got to be fake. But it's Francis. It was the guy that was just nailing all the international free agent signings and such. Mm-hmm. And I was like, that's why I quote tweeted and said, because it's I'll some caution here, but this is interesting. And then when Robert Murray more or less confirmed it the second time, it's a done deal.
Yeah,
Yeah,
hasn't quite
I
sort of
went through that. I sort of went through that when they said they signed him. Like I didn't believe it, and then it was for $10.5 million. I'm like, okay, that's not right. They really. It's like I was going through the 5 stages of grief, or it's some sort of. I'm like, I was in denial, and I was shocked. It was just. It's just so. And I'm going to say this in all seriousness, no mockery whatsoever. It's a very intriguing signing. It's. I'm still not sure how to react to it.
Well, let's kind of go there because I mean, we can talk about the player, and I think we will here. But there's to me, there's so many layers to this signing. I mean, you can talk about the person, right? He comes with his own baggage. You can talk about the player who, as we talked about, has been elite. Saw a little bit of a dip in his performance, and then last year just came back to this elite status. Then there's also he was a Cincinnati Red that threw at virtually every single Pittsburgh Pirate that existed. One that's on the team that we just mentioned, Andrew McCutchen, and Aroldis Chapman, not the best blood. Now they're teammates. Like I said, there's just so many things unpack here about Chapman. And then on top of it, you're looking at $10.5 million the Pirates gave out for a reliever this year.
Right. Yeah. And not the closer necessarily, right? I mean,
not the closer. Guy. Well,
yeah, we'll get to that. But from I, as probably the chief G1 Bay hater for off the field reasons, there's a lot of ickiness around how I feel about this. But from a pure like baseball perspective and how Aroldis Chapman played last year, it is a really good move. I mean, the bullpen was like already a source of strength, but now you're going into the 7th inning, going Holderman, you have Moretta, you have Chapman, you have Bednar, you have Majinski. Like that is 5 really solid, really cool choices to have after 6 innings. And for that, I'm excited. I still don't really like Chapman for the personal stuff, for throwing at Kutch. But from a baseball move, I get it a lot. I think it makes a lot of sense.
That's kind of like, well, I mean, here's the thing too. Like it's $10.5 million. So like you could also just sign rotation pieces. But does this kind of smell a little bit of, and it could have been like mismanaging what the starting pitching market was going to be, but does this kind of smell a little bit of, what, we didn't nail the starting pitching like we needed to, so let's just do the other thing. Let's just shore up this bullpen and have this shutdown. I mean, it's like kind of reminiscence of like 2013-14 when that bullpen was just lights out, right? Those Pirates years. Like it kind of, that's kind of how I feel about this. Like, okay, you know what? Starting pitching isn't where we're going to get then. So let's just let's piece it together and let's just make this bullpen our absolute strength. And every lead that we have, we own. Like it goes to the 6th inning, it is ours. Because like you just said, Neil, you just hit that bullpen and the potential it has in those 5 guys. I mean, as it stands right now, this bullpen looks really good.
Yeah, it's not the Shark Tank. Like it's definitely not going to be the Shark Tank just yet. Right. And the move doesn't make sense if that's the rationale, because we just don't have the rotation to. It's kind of like like that Ferrari in the rundown house type of deal. Like it doesn't make sense if this is the big move, but if this is like more things are to come, then like you can kind of see like what the Pirates are actually trying to do. But if this is the only move, then it's still kind of a bad off season, Like
that's absolutely right. I wonder if it's somewhat in response to the Bob Nutting interview with Jason Maxey that you guys discussed thoroughly this morning on Starbucks. It seems like, wow, that again, the $10.5 million part is the shocking part, right? What, $8 million for Martin Perez? I mean, it's still, and it does give us a bullpen. And let's face it, we don't have a lot of confidence in our rotation right now. However, that rotation, this bullpen won't be good enough to protect what this starting rotation, projects to be. I mean, it looks like a lot of 5-inning outings. I still see bullpen games. Maybe one of the young guys steps up, but that hasn't been our experience. So yeah, I mean, Chapman can pitch. He's got World Series, playoff experience that could come in handy. And I think we have to assume, as we do with every one-year signing, is that there's a strong chance that he'll be gone at the deadline. So that's things that
Doug's already hitting that path. We've lasted.
Well, I mean, how can you ignore it? I mean, so, but as Neil said, it's a good baseball move. When you remove the personality from it, and which is hard to do sometimes, but it's a solid baseball move. I'm hoping it's just a first step, and we still need that trade for a starter, and I think a center fielder. But
right,
I think I'd be hoping for a little too much there. Just sign Michael Taylor, for crying out loud. Put Swinsky in a platoon. Come on. But yeah, it's like I said, we certainly look like we got a bullpen that's good and has some depth, and can get through some of the short starts, that sort of thing. But I'm still hoping that this means I'm hoping that Bob Nutting lit a fire under Ben Cherington, maybe, and that he's now working. And I imagine it's hard to make a trade for starting pitching right now until Montgomery and Snell find homes. So who's going to be involved in the bidding? The teams that are in on those guys, the teams that lose out on those guys may also looking to make a trade. So I'm going to cut him a little slack for not pulling the big deal. Maybe there's some mitigating circumstances, but I hope there's still something in the works. It seems to me Cherington has misjudged this, the starting rotation or starting pitcher market for the second year in a row. And, and sort of got left with his only option now is a trade. And we'll see.
Let's think about that for a little bit here too, because we've talked about like what he represents for this bullpen as it stands. And again, I mean, you're talking just alone. We talk about 5, but just you have Bednar, Chapman, Holderman. That's I can name worse bullpens. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
Right.
It's second best in the division. At this point, easy the second best division in the second best bullpen in the division.
Yeah,
I think the Brewers are still better because they manufacture random guys off the street into seventh inning guys. But no, it's a good start, and it's nice to have something that's above league average. For
right.
Once.
So I do just want to maybe speculate here. All right, because the question's been thrown out there as well. And let's just kind of again like speculate, because we talked, obviously the rotation there's more to desire in the rotation, right? And we ultimately think like a trade has to happen. I mean, I think we've all assumed the trade's going to happen regardless of who they sign, right? There's also going to be a trade involved with their signings, right? So could this potentially be we're in the works of something? Let's sign in Chapman. Is Holderman, is Majinski, like is maybe someone involved in a package for a starting pitcher? And I'll say, like, if this is what that means, and again, I like it. Again, we have to find out what the trade is, but like if you're bringing in an Aroldis Chapman to go ahead and lose one of your pitchers, whatever, to also bolster the rotation as well. I like this.
Yeah, I think
something
it's
else
probably,
I want to add in. I'll let you guys talk to that.
Yeah, I think it's probably Bednar gone. I don't know how much like real tangible value of Majinski or whatever a Holderman have, to be completely honest.
And I agree with that.
Now that is
worried about Bednar.
That would be my one holdup. Is like the only one that has real trade value is Bednar, and he's ARB eligible, and you just spent $10.5 million on another reliever. That would be my one worry, is that Bednar is the one out the door.
Right. You trade Bednar, so you get rid of his $5 million. Yeah, I'm sort of for trading Bednar, and I know it'll hurt. I know how much we love him, but man, he's a big guy with a bad back, and relievers just don't have. Most relievers just don't have 5 great years in a row. I would hate to see him go. And obviously you can't make a proclamation about it until you see what the return is, but he does seem like the most likely one in this scenario. I don't know who. I mean, do you make Chapman the closer in that situation? I don't.
You have to, right?
Yeah,
he's got closer experience, very good closer experience.
Unless you really love Holderman's. I think he's working on a splitter now. I think he's a drive line working on a splitter.
He's not with Oscar Marin. He's somewhere else. Okay,
yeah,
just want to clear that up, right?
But you would have to. But I'm okay with trading Bednar if it gets us rotation help. Like at the very least, last year has given me confidence that we can find random relievers to be good at their jobs.
What if Bednar's involved in like another 3-team deal? Like he's traded like the prospects, then what if it's another like 3-team deal?
I don't even know what that would look like.
Just get us a number 2, number 3 type starter. I mean, get somebody with no questions, right? Get somebody that the only question is, will we extend him? That's the only question I want. If we trade Bednar, who, again, even for some of his, his shakiness and the worries, he is a dominant closer. I mean, right? He's a top 5 closer in the league in all of baseball, I would say. Mm-hmm. He's a lock to be our all-star representative, or hopefully one of our all-star representatives. I mean, he is something else, and he's a Pittsburgh guy. You just don't want to. This organization doesn't seem to care about fans and what they think and what they feel. So maybe, but the rest of us, it's like you just give us somebody that we can cheer for and feel a little more connected to, and him down in icy lights and just being the fired up dude that he is just one of the good things we get to see on a pretty consistent basis. So if you trade him, right, there better be no questions about it at the trade, and then the guy needs to produce during the season, because how many Twitter accounts are going to be putting out, oh, Bednar, another 1, 2, 3, 3 strikeout inning to close for whomever.
So I want to bring that part up now too, because you spoke about Bednar, not that it's the same, but I want to put something in perspective. Like Aroldis Chapman, 1 year, $10.5 million. And again, I understand it's a Pirates, so that's more of a shock to the sticker price, right? But
right.
Like Stevenson went for what, 3 years, $33 million to the Angels.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like think about that aspect here. Like, I know how good Stevenson turned out with Tampa Bay, right? And how like elite he has been. But like Chapman for a 1 year, $10.5 million, like compare it to that. Would you rather have Chapman or Stevenson for a 333?
Baseball. I mean, baseball wise.
Yes, and again, baseball wise, like
baseball wise is Chapman. Just because I don't think it was clear we didn't understand what made Stevenson tick. So I would take Chapman every time.
Yeah, I agree with that. Part of the problem is, as a Pirate fan, we're sort of brainwashed. I still can't. I'm having trouble wrapping my head around signing a reliever for $10.5 million. I mean, that's. We trade the Shark Tank. I mean, we just traded those guys off one at a time. Before that, it was Hanrahan and Matt Capps. I mean, once you get, they get their three years at, $1 million, $2 million, $3 million out of it, you're gone. I mean, there's no doubt that you're gone. So suddenly signing a reliever for $10.5 million, right. If the Braves sign Aroldis Chapman for $10.5 million, you don't blink. If the Cubs do it, you don't think about it. But when we sign anybody for $10.5 million, it's like, oh my, what? How much? And again, for at this point, a setup man, it's like I said, it's hard to put it in proper perspective, because these are not the kind of deals we make.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's a coping mechanism, but like I just can't imagine the Pirates, like a sensible Pirates GM, would spend $10.5 million on an eighth inning guy, and then not have something else come in to add to the team. Like they're going to go. The hope is that you go spend more.
Yeah, I agree.
Listen, Bob is a terrible owner. He's a terrible businessman, but he's also generally just not like one little. I don't know if he was pretty blatant that Sherrington had money to spend to get what he needed to get done across the line. And so I'm hoping that means he's actual cash to spend now on a Michael Lorenzen or something like that. Right. That's the hope. And maybe that's just me trying to ignore the negative, intrusive thoughts that always seep in.
Just speak it into existence, Neil.
Right. I mean, I've never blamed them for not spending on a bullpen, right? It is the easiest area to put together with young, cheap. You take a couple reclamation projects, you bring up a rookie or two, you move a starter, and you've got a pretty decent bullpen again. So not signing $10.5 million, like you said, for an eighth inning guy has never really bothered me. I mean, I want them to spend the money on a starter. So you're right. It seems like this is just a preemptory move, maybe. I mean, and that's what and I can't believe, but Nutting was. I mean, I don't think, in my memory, Nutting has ever said anything like that we expect to win now or compete, contend, that
right.
sort of thing. He's always just kind of said, we like where we're at. I'm real happy with what Neil's doing. I'm real happy with what Ben's doing, that sort of thing. He's never come out, in my memory anyway, specifically saying, yes, this year, especially coming off a 76 win season. I'm sure he may have said something to this effect that after 2014, 2015, when, yes, we had won, we'd done well, and we expected to continue that. But coming off, this just terrible, 4 years of baseball, and to say that, to me, it seems like, and again, he doesn't seem that clever, but it seems like he was sending a message to Ben, like, hey, man, get it done, and even if that wasn't his idea, he certainly put that pressure on him now. So you can't think that Aroldis Chapman is going to be the answer, the only answer to that. Okay, we're ready to contend, so we went and got an 8th inning reliever.
Yeah, I mean, that's all fair. That's all fair. And I think, like you said, I think this correlates to something else that's coming. Like this is a good move, right? Like we're not finished yet, but if you can get a starting pitcher, you feel more comfortable now about the pitching. And so again, like, I mean, this bullpen was a strength heading into this year, right? I mean, I don't think we were ready to stamp it as like a good bullpen, elite bullpen, but it was certainly a strength of the pitching. And now adding Chapman certainly starts putting it that rate. Like this is a good bullpen now, potentially, and it lacks in the starting, but like now I'm comfortable saying, okay, the offseason isn't done yet. Even though it's just Chapman, like even just Chapman, like he had almost 2 WAR last year. And we're talking about pretty much almost elite stuff from Chapman once again, right? Rejuvenate him. This guy was striking out, 40%. K rate again, he's back up there. He's back up there throwing like 98, 99. He's striking out like 16 Ks per 9. The walks are up there still. They are down from the previous few years, but it's like guys aren't hitting off them still. This is a very
get away with
good bullpen pitcher. And again, like this is something too, like the Pirates paid market rate. We talk about this is the going rate for pitching. And the Pirates said, you know what? We're not settling. Like it's a 1-year deal, but it's $10.5 million on a reliever. That's a going rate for these type of relievers now. And the Pirates did it. So give them the credit where it's due, right? Kudos to the Pirates for doing this move. It's kind of out of left field. Like they allocated over 10% of the resources of this payroll, right? To, like, as you mentioned, Neil, a setup man.
Yeah.
So far, that we think.
and it's kind of fitting.
So it's interesting in that sense too.
It's fitting that this comes like as a couple hours after Mackey was on radio talking about how the Pirates have a perception problem. And then we go and get I think it's the 3rd most expensive reliever on the market, like probably the biggest household name besides Josh Hader on the market in the reliever.
Yeah, for sure.
And so like if anything else, like from that perspective, that's nice. I don't know how widespread that problem was. I don't know if that was just about Mania, but it's nice that just after the perception problem, we're like, all right, fine. We will go spend the market rate. We will pay a little extra than we want, hopefully, to go get a guy like Aroldis Chapman.
Yeah, I mean, it's the first time Ben Cherington's paid market rate for anybody. If we're not getting the discount for the guy
for
who's
good
looking
players,
to bounce back,
the market rate for bad players is also the rate they were paying for.
Yeah, $8 million for Rich Hill and Martin Perez is 100% the market.
All right.
The market rate for Rule 5 picks was the market rate there too.
Yeah, exactly.
But at any rate, like it's just, this is again, like looking at the player, looking at the team. This makes the Pirates better. It certainly does. And like Jim here put it in the comments, like we've talked about this, like how I think we talked about the Cardinals, right? When they signed Gibson and Lance, like it just smelled like something more was coming. This kind of has that smell as well. Now, again, does it smell that a signing's coming or a trade's coming? That we don't know. I feel more like a trade because of this signing, but I think something is certainly on the horizon to make this team better still. But I mean, Chapman, man, the guy was back last year. Like, there's no denying this is a talented reliever. Certainly makes the bullpen much deeper in the games. Now, you want to have leads, right? You need a lead to keep the lead. That's what they still need to work on. But we're entering that territory where you're feeling comfortable as a Pittsburgh Pirate fan. Once again, like you're starting to feel comfortable. There is a lead that this team can actually hold on to it.
Yeah, the bullpen looks. I mean, it looks pretty good. I loved what we saw from Majinski last year. My preference would be if Bednar were gone, that he move into the closer role over Holderman. I don't know if that's what they would do, but that's what I would like to see.
Those kind of heart attacks.
What's that?
Like both Holderman and Chapman are kind of heart attack pitchers. Like
right.
they both will make it really, really hard on you to like feel comfortable that the ninth inning is going to be nice and clean.
Yeah, we'll be not sure when we're going to be going on with the post game show. With the, like, it might end here in the next 2 or 3 pitches, or yeah. But no, I mean, again, you got Baraki and Hernandez. Kind of 5th, 6th, and again, you don't have to maybe necessarily don't have to pitch somebody 3 days in a row. Some of the things they did to wear out the bullpen last year. Again, help from the starters would be great, but that remains to be seen what we're going to get from them. But yeah, I mean, right, the Pirates are better than they were yesterday, and the bullpen looks to be a strength. So, on its face, as weird as it seems, and as much as it makes us think other things are coming, if it just stayed like this, they're better than they were. And, if tomorrow they went and signed Michael Lorenzen and Michael Taylor, right, I would think, wow, that's not, without having to give anybody up and keep the bullpen with all those guys, I would feel all right. I mean, I would prefer a trade for a better starter than that, but I'm still, gun shy from being a Pirate fan.
Curtis, the Cubs fan, chimes in. Chapman signing is huge. He ever win a World Series anywhere? Yeah, shut up, Kurt.
Yeah, with the Yankees. He won one with the
Rangers,
Yankees, I believe. And yeah, the Rangers.
So let's do this. Last thoughts. Neil, last thoughts on the signing.
Still don't know how to process this. I think I've said all I want to say is that this has to be the start of something more. If this is the end, this is just like a worthless signing that doesn't really do anything for us. If this is part of getting that big starter we need in, maybe going and get Michael A. Taylor, filling the holes on the roster, then I am all for this. And I feel a lot better about this offseason than what I was feeling when I was on for the Martin Perez podcast. I'll put it that way.
Fair. Doug, last words?
Well, I agree with Neil that I hope it's something more, but I disagree that if it's not, that it's not a wasted move. It will improve the bullpen. It will give us a strength. Like I said, we felt good about it, but I feel better about it now. I hope it's a precursor to something else, but if this is all it is, it still makes us, a little, incrementally better, 1.5 wins better.
It doesn't make us a playoff team, though, and that's so. If that's all we do, then Chapman's gone at the deadline.
Yeah.
When we're sitting 10 games out of a playoff spot, Chapman's gone.
No. I mean, I agree with all that. But like, the move on its own does make us a little better. It's like I said, it just makes it seem even stranger that. So that was the big move. This is what's going to propel us into contention. None of us think that. I mean, I certainly don't. But I do think it makes the bullpen a little better. It makes me feel a little better about Bednar, that we could weather, a stint on the injured list or any of that sort of thing. So, like I said, I'm fascinated to see what happens over the next, couple of days or weeks, whatever it takes. But, the Pirates paid market value, got a good player, and that's something they haven't done much over the years.
I like all that. And I agree with you, Doug, more than Neil. I mean, this still pushes, right? I mean, you're still adding a player of value, a good player. So it makes the team better. And that's all you can really ask for as of today. By the end of the offseason, then we can reevaluate everything. But, in a vacuum, I like the signing. Makes the team better. Again, it's Chapman. The other thing, too, like there's a fear in this bullpen now. Like, think about that, too. Like, I mean, you fear Bednar. You have. Now you have Chapman in there. you certainly fear him. You know, this isn't just like and not to take away, but like it's not like Ryan Brucke out there. You're saying, I don't know how he's doing it, but he's doing it well, right? Like this is Chapman, this is Bednar. Like these are dudes, and they're getting it done.
Right.
And it has another lefty as well, who again, I'm like, you know, not take away from Brucke, but this is a lefty who's just dominant. Like you add another lefty, he's got closer experience. Bednar has health issues here and there pop up, so I like this for the bullpen. I mean, I really, really do. I anticipate more is coming. When it does, we'll have another emergency podcast to talk about that. Hopefully, it's not because they traded David Bednar, and we got to talk about that because I'm not looking forward to that show.
I'm not prepared for that conversation.
But you know, again, like I hope this does allude that's something else is coming. Hopefully, as a starting pitcher as well, and then we can talk about this complete pitching. And how the team, is looking better. But yes, today the Pirates are a better team than they were, an hour ago. And that's all you can really ask for step by step with each move. So I'm kind of excited. This is getting me excited for the season finally on January 22nd.
Yeah, no, it does make the Pirates better. And for that, I'm not going to complain too much, but yeah, no, I mean, it's an exciting move. And again, we don't sign big names. So again, this first big name in a decade, it's fine. I'm here for it.
Sure. All right. Well, I guess with that said, let's get out of here. Aroldis Chapman is a Pittsburgh Pirate, $10.5 million. We'll be back again sometime, hopefully soon, to have another emergency podcast. So until then, we'll see you guys later. Thanks for joining. And as Jim put here in the comments, if you haven't already subscribed, like, comment, tell us your thoughts on this as well in the comments. And we'll see you guys later. Bye-bye.
Hey, you all. Thank you for watching. I know we try to provide the most entertaining content that we can, and we'd love to spread it to as many people as possible. So I know it doesn't seem like a lot, but if you could take the 5 seconds to like this video and subscribe to the page, it helps out so much more than you know. Thank you, and let's go Bucks.